Hey, folks, this is Mike with Battles of the First World War podcast. So joining us today are Roger Steward, who's, I'm going to point up because he's currently above me, and Dr. Dominiek Dendooven, currently the gentleman below, founders of the new Ypres League, who will give us more details on the Demarcation Stone fundraising drive I mentioned some time ago. Both Roger and Dominiek live and work in the Ypres salient, and between them have published several books and articles with regards to the Great War, with Roger having appeared on this podcast with Professor Mark Connolly about a year or so ago. Again, if you're new to the story of the First World War, then we'll start with just a few basics here. Ypres, Y-P-R-E-S, is named Ypres, I-E-P-E-R, today. Ypres, or Wipers, as it was called by the millions of British Tommies who served there throughout the Great War, was the site of at least 3 massive battles during the Great War. Speaking as an American here, Ypres today is practically a British town, and that is not meant in a negative way. It is easy to see because the city, as well as its fields and hills and nearby villages outside its gates, are holy ground to the United Kingdom and to the British military. Some 200,000 members of the BEF, British Expeditionary Force, fell in battle here, and tens of thousands remain unrecovered from the Flanders fields all around them. Ypres holds a special place in the heart of British remembrance of the Great War, symbolized every evening by the playing of the last post at Menin Gate. And that is a moving ceremony not to be missed. It is a great pleasure to have Roger and Dominiek join us today, and I'd like to get right to it. So Roger, Dominiek, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Mike.
All right. So first question, just a quick recap here. How did you two gentlemen meet and decide to create the new Ypres League?
I think, if I remember rightly, Dominic, we met discussing, when I was researching my first book, The History of the German Cemetery at Langemark, Studentenfriedhof to Soldatenfriedhof. And that's how I got to know Dominic, because Dominic at the time was it head of research in the Flanders Field Museum, Dominic? Or
Yeah, well, it's hard to be head of research if you're only 3 researchers. But indeed, I've been working at the Flanders Fields Museum for over 25 years. And there is a research facility. And during COVID, Roger was kind of out of work as a battlefield guide, much against his will. So his plan B was to write a book. And that's how, well, I knew of Roger's existence before, but we weren't really acquainted with each other. And then when Roger came to do research for his first book, the one on the cemetery of Langemark, we got along quite well, and that's how we actually got acquainted. And then Roger came up with the idea for the new Ypres League.
I think also we've got a joint friend in Mark Connolly.
Yeah,
Mark had been over several times before this talking about the original Ypres League and the history of the Ypres League, which got me very, very interested. And then myself and Dominic, I think we were having a beer one night, and we were talking about remembrance in the Ypres salient. And we kind of realised that, in a few years' time, if nothing's refreshed, maybe nobody will be doing this because of the age, of some of the guys involved now. Mm-hmm. So we thought it'd be a great idea to start up or restart the original Ypres League under the banner of the new Ypres League, with the core of its aims still as our aims as the new Ypres League, but modernised and adjusted, to today's world as well.
Yeah, and it fills a gap between the veterans associations, between something like the last post associations, who all have a very particular purpose. And I was quite charmed by the idea of the old Ypres League, where so between the wars, the Ypres League's main purpose was to create a bond between people for whom Ypres meant something. Mm-hmm. And this new Ypres League, and I think that the two of us are a symbol of that is pretty much Anglo-Belgian. So I'm a Belgian. Roger is a Brit, but a resident in Ypres, and I think that is a very good idea because it makes this new organization stand out within the field of commemoration. That it is a joint Anglo-Belgian organization based in Ypres, working for Ypres, so with a very clear purpose on what is happening here regarding the First World War.
It's interesting, really. The uptake has been fantastic. The interest by people, and particularly, Brits and Belgians, in particular, people have got a passion, for the history of Ypres, the Ypres salient as well. And as you mentioned earlier, it was about a year ago, when I came on with Mark. And within that year, we've got well over 100 members now. For example, Lady Lucy French, the granddaughter of Sir John French, is our president. The Mayor of Ypres, Katrine de Summer, is our vice president. So it's been very, very well received. And I think what people like about it as well is it's not just purely remembrance based. Of course, that's it's a big part, but it's also exactly what we're on today. We have other projects as well. We're aiming to put things back into the salient as opposed just to taking out. If I can just show you, you've probably seen that anyway, but that's the new Ypres League badge logo, but it's based on the original Ypres League badge, so it's kind of like, it really kind of symbolizes us now. It's kind of a modern version of the original, of the original logo. Yes,
and I believe I got to use the art that you sent me digitally as for the podcast episode that I did on the Demarcation fundraising drive that we'll talk about. So that symbol, hopefully we can get that out there into the world. But it, like you're talking, Roger, exactly what I was thinking is you guys are community based and you're also giving back to the Ypres community.
Yeah, very much so. And it's actually become quite a nice social thing as well.
Really?
The members who have joined, we have a WhatsApp group, for example. They're always in contact with each other. And they're always posting different bits about the Ypres salient, and it's fabulous, and the events we hold several events throughout the year, and they've kind of, growing and growing and growing, and it's become a really nice social, organization as well, which is great, which is, what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah. And if I may add that despite the fact that it's a local, a community-based organization, our scope is at the same time very worldwide. I mean, Gurpreet Singh, who's a Sikh living in Ypres and who has a grandfather who served in the First World War, actually, is very much involved. So we do things with the Indian community.
Oh, really?
We had people from the British West Indies Regiment over recently, so got involved with them as well. So that's a remarkable thing in Ypres general, as you had so many nations involved in the First World War over here. We get acquainted, even if we are a small community, we got acquainted with a large part of the world, actually.
Oh, amazing. You were speaking of events and ceremonies that the new Ypres League takes part in the Ypres area. What are some of these events where you could meet members of the new Ypres League and that you guys take part in?
Well, there's obviously, as you call it, kind of set remembrance events. Anzac Day, for example, of course. I mean, November the 10th, 11th, and 12th here. I think we attended well over 12 ceremonies, over the course of those days. So you have the remembrance events, but on top of that, reburials of soldiers who remains have been recovered or they've been identified in terms of rededications. So we attend all of those remembrance events as well. So you've got the official kind of remembrance aspects, but on top of that, we organise our own events as well. And one of the ones which is now really starting to take hold is we've relaunched the original Ypres Day. Now, the Ypres League used to commemorate Ypres Day, and it was their day of remembrance on October the 31st each year, because it was basically one of the key events or one of the key dates in the first Battle of Ypres. and they would lay wreaths at the Cenotaph in London, for example, and here as well. So last year was quite a small start, really. We just attended the last post and laid a wreath. But this year, what we did, we were lucky enough to have a young Scouts band present. We had several standards come as well. And what we're trying to do with that event is to grow it into a remembrance event for Ypres-based organisations, but also anybody who has this passion for the Ypres Salient. Because November the 11th is such a huge event here, and it's very hard for smaller organisations, to take part officially, if you see what I mean.
Right.
So this is a great event to do that, and we're already getting a lot of interest from different organisations, even hotels, museums, who take an income out of the area, during the year, and this is their opportunity, to put things back. So there's several events, plus social events as well, dinners and that kind of thing as well. We organise, but yeah, we're starting to become a very, very busy organisation.
Oh, that's great. That's excellent. So the focus of this episode is a fundraising drive to restore the demarcation stones in the Ypres salient. So I talked a little bit about it in my short episode that I did a few weeks ago, but can you give us like a little bit more? Tell us about the demarcation stones and which ones you're working to restore.
Dominic?
Yep. So the demarcation stone it was actually a very brilliant idea that a tourist organization in pretty early after the war, 1919, 1920, came up with. And it was the Touring Club de France. So that was the main French tourist organization, and they joined effort with the Touring Club de Belgique, so the Belgian tourist organization. And their idea was to mark the furthest point reached by the German invaders during the First World War. Because they already noticed in 1919, 1920 that the trenches were disappearing fast, and that those things that veterans and others would have recognized immediately, that these would disappear pretty soon. So hence the idea. And the model which you see now of that's basic idea was by a French sculptor called Vautier-Moreau, or Moreau-Vautier, Paul Moreau-Vautier, who was himself a veteran. And his idea was of these, well, they're not very big, but they're very sturdy. They're in a kind of granite, pink granite, slightly over a meter high. And you have three types. The one you see on this photograph is a British type. It's covered with a British helmet. It has British shells, drinking gear, so you can immediately recognize it as a British type. You've got a Belgian type with a Belgian helmet on top, and you've got a French type. And so then significant points along the front line, all the way from the North Sea coast until the Swiss border in France, were marked out. And then a fundraising happened, because they were all paid for by members of the public, or as was the case here in Belgium, where some little over 20 were erected. You had like the Belgian provinces funding one or two of these stones, some banks, but also some individuals. And the ones near Ypres, at least the British ones near Ypres, were sponsored by the Ypres League, the original Ypres League at that time. Now, what is also remarkable is that, so as you can read from that demarcation stone, it says here the invader was brought to a standstill, and then you've got a date. So 1918, that's the German Spring Offensive. But you can also have 1914, for instance, on the Belgian front, where the Belgian troops stopped the Germans' onslaught, or just north of Ypres, Boesinger, a French, bearing 1915, which is after the first gas attack, where the French managed to create a new line of defense. So overall in Belgium, there are some 22 of them, and in Ypres, or just around Ypres, in what used to be the Ypres salient, there are at this moment, and I stress at this moment, 8. So 8 survived.
8. Okay.
1 has disappeared, and we haven't even managed to find a photograph of that 9th one. And of these 8 still existing demarcation stones, 5 are British, 2 are French, 1 is Belgian. And the one we are focusing on at this moment, but we have an interest in all of them, is the one at Hellfire Corner. Hellfire Corner, who's anyone slightly familiar with the Ypres salient, that will ring a bell. It was famous crossroads. Basically, you could say the place where initially you would leave. Well, it's a bit out of Ypres, but where you would really enter the fighting zone. And it was quite exposed, hence the name. Hellfire Corner, as it was quite exposed, you could easily be shot at from 3 sides by German artillery. And it's even today, it's quite an important place because it is the spot where most people visiting Ypres will enter the town.
Yes.
Now, you still have the demarcation stone, but the lettering, the inscriptions have completely disappeared. And this is a souvenir. Yeah, there is Rogerwitz's photograph of how it looks now. And the thing is that during the Second World War, so during the second occupation after the second invasion of Belgium and France, the demarcation stones were deemed by some Germans as offensive. And so the lettering was taken away. Some survived. There's one extremely funny story where a local farmer covered the demarcation stone under a heap of manure.
Okay.
And that's how it survived the Second World War. But basically, especially the one at Hellfire Corner is, well, the demarcation stone is there, but there is no lettering on it whatsoever. And the whole site is listed as such by the Flemish government, but we've received the agreement that a full restoration could take place there. And we'll start from there.
Okay.
One of the other things we're actually researching, examining, is what happens to that demarcation stone that disappeared. What happened to it? And how, I mean, as I just told you, we do not even have a photograph.
Where was that one located?
Yeah, it was located at Ypres, which is also to the east of Ypres, right on what used to be British front line, and basically where between 1915 and 1917, it's basically where the front line was established after the first gas attack in April 1915. Yeah.
Oxford Road Cemetery area?
Yeah, Oxford Road Cemetery near that. That's Ypres. Yeah, and yeah, it's just a very strange affair that there aren't even photographs. So we're really curious of what happens to that one. Yeah. But at this moment, first stage, we're focusing on the ones that survived, but where all the inscriptions are gone. Okay,
and like you said, some of the inscriptions, the Germans, probably defaced the stones out of anger, but also it's just been the march of time, right? Like it's been 100 years since these stones were stood up in rain and winters.
It's very hard granite, so normally that would survive quite well. It's really, though, what you also see with Hellfire Corner is that at one stage a visitor had stuck a panel to it commemorating an individual, and then that left some glue marks.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, they're over 100 years old now, and they fulfill a very important role, being the only markers that will tell you today where at one stage the front line was.
Okay. and what is the work that needs to be done on the stones, and who will be doing that work?
With in terms of it depends on the individual stone.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So as Dominic was kind of saying, over the years, the stones, partly become weathered or defaced, for various reasons. So all of the detail really needs re-emphasizing, recutting. If you look at that picture, we'll send, hopefully we'll be able to post some up.
Sure.
You can on the Hellfire Corner one, you can't even read the word Ypres basically on the top underneath the helmet. So on that one only, we also want to, if we can, put back the original text, which was taken off by the Germans during World War II. Okay. Here, the invader was brought to a standstill. I think, particularly on the Hellfire Corner one, because you can argue it's the most iconic because of its sighting, and it would be nice out of the 7/8 which remain, to have one at least completely historically, correct. Mm-hmm. The others will be looking at, just recutting the detail, for example, and the lettering, and that sort of stuff. Now, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission have been very kind of positive towards, the project. And straight away, Xavier, the area guy here for the War Graves Commission, volunteered, the commission to help to do the work. So the commission are going to be doing the work. They've given us quotes as well for the work, which will entail removing the stone, taking it to Bahrain, to their facility there, doing all the work, and then bringing it back again. So it's going to be done. Well, you could say really by any more professional organisation, really, than the CWGC. So, yeah.
Really. And for folks who may not know, the CWGC, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, this is the organization that manages and maintains British and Commonwealth war grave cemeteries throughout the world, really.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But so any British cemetery that you visit in France and Belgium, it's maintained by them.
Yeah.
So.
Plus also some monuments as well when requested as well. But of course, you can imagine the stonemasons they have there are well experienced. Yeah.
Right. These are the perfect people to do this job. So,
did you want to add anything, Dominic? Or?
Yeah, no, and it's also important because nowadays, especially the one at Hellfire Corner, but it goes for all the demarcation stones, because they are usually set on the side of the road, and because of the weathering, nobody ever notices them unless they are pointed out at you. Yeah. So if we will have one recut, reinscribed, resurfaced as being, it will glow. It will glow, and it will draw the attention to these demarcation stones. And I think we start with one, but then it will enhance all the others that are out there.
We should add, I don't know if we've already added this as well, but the Ypres League paid for 7 and part paid for an 8th. So this is kind of going back also to the links between the new Ypres League and the old Ypres League. They paid for these things to be done, but as the old Ypres League kind of faded away post World War II, these things, although they're protected by Flemish law or Flemish heritage, there's been nobody's really too sure who owned them. There's been no real upkeep to them. They've kind of been there, but they've not been looked after. Don't get me wrong, the ground has been cut around them and that kind of stuff, but the stones haven't been maintained. So I kind of feel like, as an organisation, because of the history of Europe, it's our responsibility to do this as well.
Yeah, and they also symbolize Allied solidarity. It's one of the very few types. You've got French cemeteries, British cemeteries, Belgian memorials, French memorials, British memorials, but that type of memorial is one that is shared. Mm-hmm. Even if you have these slight differences with the helmets, but it is the only memorial or type of memorial, series of memorials, which symbolizes that solidarity between the Allied nations facing the German invader.
Yes, yeah. Gosh, I hadn't even considered that. That's amazing. So we have now. with one particular stone, the one in Hellfire Corner, you are hoping to do something else as well that will also help bring attention to it. Would you guys speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think because of the significance of the site of Hellfire Corner, what we would like to do also is have an information panel put there as well. And the information panel will kind of serve several purposes because of a sighting of what as Hellfire Corner is now. It's kind of a big roundabout, in the middle of a busy road.
Yes. Yep.
To have a monument there or a new monument to a recognised Hellfire Corner, that's probably going to be quite dangerous because of the road and whatever. So we thought by having an information panel there, the information panel could partly tell the story of Hellfire Corner, partly tell the stories of the demarcation stones and the story of the Ypres League and how it all came about. So we feel that kind of knitting quite nicely, with several different aspects, and serve a purpose. Just not just renovating the stone, but it will serve an extra purpose in helping Hellfire Corner be recognised as well.
Yeah, amazing, awesome. Now, the fundraising drive. What is the new Ypres League's goal, and where can folks contribute? And this is a multi-part question, I guess. And how do we stay up to date with the whole restoration process?
Do you want to answer, Dominic, or?
Well, go ahead. You're the chairman.
Okay. So, in terms of the goal, okay, as Dominic mentioned, of course, we're focusing first on the Hellfire Cornerstone, okay, and that's going to kind of be our benchmark in terms of renovation costs and that kind of thing, because we know that's going to be the most expensive because of its condition and the extra text or the original text you want to put back onto that one, okay. Right. So our goal is to raise money first of all to get that one completed. And then we will kind of work our way. I mean, Rome isn't built in a day. We understand that. It doesn't have to be done in a year or 2 years. We can do this, gradually and do one at a time. Okay, which is what we're going to try and do. We've launched a fundraising drive, and it's on the front page of our website. So the new Ypres League website, and you can donate any amount of money there. By donating through that actual portal on the website, that money goes and is ring-fenced purely for the Demarcation Stone project. So it won't be siphoned off, for any other project we're doing. You've donated it for the Demarcation Stones, and that's going to exactly what it's going to be used for. Okay. And there's a running total also, as we go, so people can look at that and they can see, how the progress is. And what we'd like to do also, to keep people up to date, of course, they can look on the website. If they become members, then of course, you can join on the website as well. So you can become a member and not only be part of this project, but of course, other projects, we're involved in as well. You'll get, of course, regular updates as well. And, if possible, with yourself, with the podcast, we can come back, at maybe some intervals and let you guys know how it's going.
Oh my God, yes. Anytime. Yeah, that'd be great. Well, fantastic.
Does that answer your multifaceted question?
Yes, I think we hit everything. Great job.
I would like to add something, and it is that, as I told you, I've been doing this job for more than 25 years, and I've seen plenty of organizations and individuals erecting new memorials. But that's one thing. And then they forget about the upkeep.
Right.
And what you see now is, for once, we're doing something different. We're not creating a new memorial. We're enhancing and taking care of existing memorials which have their value. And I think that we will also try to set an example by doing so and saying, hey, it's not only about having your own little memorial somewhere, it's also about taking care of those who were created before us.
Yeah.
And of remembering the original Ypres League that stood them up and re-honoring their commitment to the Ypres salient.
Exactly. I mean, it's the famous quote from John McRae's poem in Flanders Fields: "To you from failing hands we throw the torch." Well, the original Ypres League was mainly, or was actually, the core of them were veterans who had served in the salients, and of course they are no longer there. So it's up to a new generation to take care of that part of heritage.
Amazing. All right, folks, please consider donating to this important remembrance project. I mean, what a way to contribute to a lasting reminder of those who came before us, and to remember and honor their service and sacrifice. And someday you can visit the Ypres area and then say, I had a part in that. When you see the stones and the Hellfire Corner information kiosk, every little bit counts, and it's a very
Absolutely
worthy project. Wow, Roger and Dominic, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. And gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear updates and folks. Links to the new Ypres League website and then you can contribute there. Will be in the episode notes, so you can click right off of your phone. And yeah, please do consider joining the new Ypres League as well. I'm a member of that WhatsApp group chat, and it really is like a lovely group of people. Like, just sharing information and stuff like that. And there's a nice little growing community there. And it's been much more active as of late, and it's nice to see. So.
Yeah.
So definitely that's really something uplifting, like building a little community there, right? Even though we're all separated, you have this shared identity. So it's very cool. Very cool. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
Most
very
welcome.
much.
Cheers.